The support class is so popular inside Battlefield 6 right now, it feels like almost everyone is running it. However, no one is running LMGs, and LMGs do have a bad perception when it comes to most games in general, but also including Battlefield, that they have slow ADS, slow handling times, and that's why people don't actually want to use them. However, there's a couple of benefits of running LMGs in this game, and if you're running support, then you don't really get any penalty to aim down sight, aside from what the gun already has to begin with, and also there's no sprint speed penalty when carrying an LMG as well. So if you are running support right now, then definitely consider using some of the LMGs, because some of them have some of the most insane time to kill values, especially at range, which I find super important. And we'll get on to some of the other benefits of running LMGs after we run through the data and the numbers. But the numbers that we have are from battlefinity.gg, and that is where we got the data for our spreadsheet. So compiling all this into our spreadsheet now, what we have is every single LMG from Battlefield 6, there's 8 of them in total. As you can see here, we've got the mag values, the rate of fire, and the bullet velocity. All of these I believe to be super important numbers to factor in when we're looking at LMGs in this game. Now, we're going to ignore the 0 to 10 meter mark, because this is going to be the range that you want to be using a carbine, an SMG. Now, you can use your LMG in that range, but let's be honest, you're probably going to get outgunned, especially down to ADS movement and things like that. So we don't want to consider this range too much, because it's really not an important factor. Now, what we do want to do is look at anything above 10 meters and above, and mainly we're looking at the kind of farther ranges, because that's where LMGs excel the most. So if we organize for the 10 to 40 meter mark, as you can see, the M250 comes out on top. We've got the M240L coming out second to that, and then the M123K. So the main ranges we want to focus on are the 40 plus meter range, which is where the LMGs excel. And as you can see, the M250 comes out on top once again. Then we have the DSR in a close second place. Now, both of these guns are extremely solid. I've already made a video talking about the DSR by itself anyway. However, like you can see here, we've got a lot of other LMGs not too far behind, like the M240L and the M123K. And lastly, now organizing for the final damage range, which is the 80 to 120 meter mark. The M250 is out on top once again, and the DSR follows second once more. And as you can see, the rate of fire of both of these guns are actually pretty respectable. It's not going to be super quick, but it's definitely a decent fire rate for it to be forgiving, and the bullet velocities on both of these guns are pretty strong too. A couple of attachments will bump that up a little bit higher, and the mag capacity on them are a bit small, especially for an LMG, but they have extended mag options anyways. So picking out 3 of the most important LMGs, first up we've got the M250. Now this one just kind of comes out on top for time to kill every single time, and it beats out most assault rifles, carbines as well. So if you do want a ranged weapon that's going to kill extremely quickly, then the M250 is a solid choice. It actually has a decent sized mag, and the mobility of it is actually not too bad too, so that way overall it's actually a pretty solid gun. The bullet velocity is pretty strong if you bump it up with some extra attachments. Next up, we've got the DRS, which I think overall is just a pretty solid gun. In terms of handling, it's probably one of the better ones out of the LMG, because it resembles the most closest to an assault rifle. And I feel like this gun just has the least weapon bloom that I've used so far in this game. It feels the most accurate. In terms of recoil, obviously it's not as easy to use as some of the assault rifles, but in general, when it comes to bloom and my shots hitting where I want them to go, this one feels the closest to that, and that's why I have to put it on the list as well. Not to mention it's got the second fastest time to kill at range. Next up, we've got the RPKM, which again is not the fastest on the TTK list, but this one is actually a very accurate LMG. Again, the bloom doesn't feel crazy on this one, and the recoil is actually quite manageable, but for the most part, it's not going to kill the quickest, but you will be landing a ton of shots with this one, and I've been killed by the RPK so many times whilst playing Battlefield that is actually ridiculous, and I had to put it on this list just because the amount of times I've died to this gun in particular. So the RPK has to make this list as well. So I've picked out the best 3 LMGs in my opinion, and I do want to mention that I like to play mainly infantry modes where there's not too many vehicles around, and that's why I've selected these ones in particular. Now, when it comes to LMGs as a general whole, and especially if you're playing support class, I do recommend using LMGs in general. There's a lot of benefits to using LMGs in this game, and it almost feels like an underrated class of weapons right now, and I'm going to quickly run through some of the benefits before we end off this video. Now, first of all, you don't get any penalty to ADS, as we've mentioned earlier on, if you run it in the support class, which obviously is a massive benefit in and of itself. You do get better bullet velocity values, which I feel like is super important in this game for your bullets connecting. Not only is there weapon bloom in this game anyway, which makes your guns feel not very good when you're firing them at range, but the bullet velocity definitely helps to make sure your shots connect before the enemy shots does. And if they're running carbines or ARs, then you're going to feel like you're going to win that gunfight 9 times out of 10. On top of that, they have better critical damage in general, so whether you're hitting limb shots or arm shots or even headshots, you're going to be doing a little bit more damage than the assault rifles or carbines, and that is another huge bonus, because if you land a headshot with an LMG, you almost feel like you're ripping through enemies, which I feel is just a really cool way to make this weapon class more fun. Not to mention, against vehicles, if you are playing vehicle combat, then the LMGs have larger mags, which obviously help out not only in infantry, but again, like I said, against vehicles too, which is going to help you out a ton. And last and not least, they actually have less weapon bloom than some of the other classes. So if you do want to make sure your shots are connecting just in general, then the LMGs actually have less bloom. Now, I'm not too sure if that's intended or if this is just a byproduct of the bullet velocity being really good on these guns. But overall, the LMGs just feel super strong right now inside Battlefield 6. I like using them. I think they're extremely fun. If you enjoy using LMGs, please leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.